In less than 2 months, so-called lone wolf extremists killed 6 people in 4 states. 3 Pittsburgh cops were murdered in April when they were called to a house on a domestic disturbance. May 31st, a Kansas doctor who performed late-term abortions was gunned down in church. June 1st, a soldier fresh out of boot camp was killed outside a recruiting office in Little Rock. And 9 days later, a security officer was shot and killed at Washington's Holocaust Museum.
There's a dual hatred at work. On the one hand, there is really rabid hatred and fear of the United States government. On the other hand, let's not forget the tremendous religious prejudice and religious motivations that fuel all of these actions.
There were warnings that violence like this was on the rise. In February, the Southern Poverty Law Center reported a jump in the number of hate groups from 888 in 2007 to 926 in 2008. A 4% leap attributed to racist extremists inflamed by the election of President Obama. In April, a Department of Homeland Security report cited political and economic factors, stating the threat posed by lone wolves and small terrorist cells is more pronounced than in past years.
Well, normally they're individuals that are basically dysfunctional in the fact that they're having difficulty coping with a political system or policies that are in effect and feel that they have no recourse in their mind but to lash out violently.
The man accused of killing Dr. George Tiller was described by his ex-wife as radically anti-government and anti-abortion. The man accused of murdering a soldier in Little Rock allegedly told police he was retaliating for the mistreatment of Muslim women and children by the U.S. military. And the accused killers at both the Holocaust Museum and the Pittsburgh ambush reportedly held anti-Semitic beliefs and fears the government would take their guns away. All of the suspects have pled not guilty with the exception of the Holocaust Museum suspect. He remains in critical condition after he was shot by security officers. One trait common among lone wolf extremists is their unpredictability. At least 2 of the recent suspects were known to authorities but not believed to be an immediate threat. Experts say it's almost impossible to know when a lone wolf will be moved to violence, and just as tough to know who will be his targets. David Mattingly, CNN, Atlanta.
This devil's brew of conditions, you say, is kind of leading to an increase, not only rhetoric, but crimes as well. What do you mean by devil's brew? What are the conditions?
Well, the conditions have been brewing for a long time. They include the fact that whites are decreasing as a percentage of the population. Sometime before, I guess around 2042, whites will be a minority in this country. For some time, they have been concerned about the high levels of immigration. There's frustration about affirmative action. There's fear of minority crime. And there's a sense that whites are getting the short end of the stick.
So I guess coupled with high unemployment, the bad economy, and then President Obama, you say that some extremists were actually happy to have Obama in the running for president.
Yes.
Why?
Yes, because I believe it was David Duke that made the comment that the white nationalist movement needed a visual image. And they felt like the election of a black president would show white America how much ground it has lost.
So for some of these extremists on the right, President Obama is a symbol, not as he is for many voters of a post-racial America, but a symbol of all that they believe whites or Caucasians have lost. Is that right?
Yes, that white people are losing ground. There are many people that believe that America was founded by Anglos, for Anglos, and when our founding fathers said that we would be a nation of immigrants, that they meant white immigrants. And so they very much are concerned about affirmative action. They're concerned about globalization, loss of jobs, minority crime, and there's a sense of grievance, a sense that politicians are not paying attention. And there's a void out there, and there are some leaders that have stepped into that. And because of the internet, they can reach people, and they can feed on the fears of people that may be unstable.
Do you see this is only getting worse?
Yes, I do. I believe that we're headed for unprecedented levels of racial conflict and turmoil because of the set of conditions that are converging at this point in history. And it's not just whites. I think that the conditions will fuel violence among other ethnic groups, like Black, Latinos. We already having increased violence between those groups. It doesn't get discussed much, but Black, Latino, white, Black, all sorts of groups. But among the white supremacists and the white nationalists, Blacks and Jews are the two most hated groups.
So, I mean, it's a terrible irony with the election of the first African-American president, you saying it's actually because of the way he's perceived by some of these extremists, because of these other factors, this devil's brew, as you said at the beginning. You say we're actually heading for unprecedented levels of racial conflict.
I said that back in 2002, and I believe that the conditions are even more fertile now than what I saw back then. And yes, I do think that racial conflict and violence will increase. And I think we are making a mistake by pretending that it's not out there, or pretending that there isn't a lot of fear and uncertainty among white Americans that are not haters. They don't belong to any type of organized hate group, but they face an uncertain future.